Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. So I'm here with part 2 of doing flip throughs of my unfinished journals. And so there's 3 journals here, and these journals are ones that I made and kept for various classes from Lamoreux. If you've been here a while, you know that I absolutely love Liz. Love Liz so much. I pretty much take all of her courses because she's my favorite. And yeah, I just love Liz's style I want to say, it's kind of similar to what I do, but very different. And I just love her insights. I love the and space. I love exploring the and space. I love how she uses poetry and words. And she's just so beautiful. Oh, love Liz. So this is an assortment of the classes that I've taken. I think this was her threads one. I should have looked up the classes. It is her thread, the one that was about the thread, about this poem right here that I printed out on this lined paper, this William Stratford poem. That's what this course is about, and I didn't finish that one. This journal is it was called Pay Attention and Be Astonished, I believe, something like that. I will try to leave links down below if any of these are on Liz's website. But this one was all about that. Mary Oliver's instructions for living life are pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it. Tell it. Oh my God, that's what it's called. It's called Tell It. Pay attention and be astonished. So that's this one, which I didn't finish. And then this is my binder that I kept for Liz's Water Your Soul course. Yeah, so let's just dig in. Let's dig in with the smallest one, and then we'll end with the Water Your Soul course. None of these journals are finished because I didn't finish any of these classes, but they're in the state in which they are in, and I'm going to just share them here. So this one I did not make. I didn't make this journal. I embellished the journal, but I did not make it. This is an Arteza journal. Yeah, I don't think I have any of what does it say in the front? Yeah, it's just an Arteza watercolor journal. I believe this is 6x6 or 5.5 by 5.5, and it's just watercolor. It's like a thinnish watercolor paper, and it is textured. There's a pocket in the back and the strap, which I kind of put it back here. Is it glued down? I'm not using the strap, and all I did was I cut a piece of fabric, because the cover itself is like this linen. If you see it, it's kind of like a beige linen. And all I did was cover it with this piece of fabric that I cut using my pinking shears, and it's cut very crookedly. I love this fabric, and I think I glued it down with Fabrifix, but I also wrapped this lace, some of my favorite lace. I think I got this lace at Joann or Hobby Lobby, but it's some of my favorite lace, and I just kind of wrapped it around, tucked it underneath this fabric, and glued the whole thing to the cover. And then I think I stamped this out on a bit of canvas that I also glued here. This is another piece of fabric that I layered on top, and then I layered this canvas on top, and it basically says, look for the magic. This was for the thread. I forget what the course is called. I'm pretty sure it's a here course. So a lot of Liz's classes are here and then something, like for the here series, or it's the tell it and then something. But this one's the one about the thread. Oh my God, Touchstones. It was here, Touchstones. And it was about the thread. I did date it, so good for me to date it. So this was an April 2021 course, and it was all following this, and I'll read it. So this is a poem that she shared by William Stratford called The Way It Is. And it reads, there's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain the thread, but it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or die, and you suffer and get old. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. And so pretty much the class was all about this idea of a thread, that there is a sort of like an invisible string that gets you through life. And so Liz had us explore that thread. And so this was sort of like my little, what are these called? Not mind maps, sort of like a mind map of my thread at the time, right? And I had to put the poem here because the whole class is it's just inspired by the poem. Yeah, so this was this was 4 years ago. I know what was happening in my life during this time, but like I don't remember. Like I was such a different person when I was doing this journal. This was a sticky note that I put in here, and I remember the sticky note being on my wall for a while. It says, "Life is fluid. I am fluid. We are all constantly changing, ebbing and flowing, always evolving." I mean, I had that on my wall, I think for like all of 2020 and like into 2021. And I guess at some point I took it down and just stuck it in here. But yeah, like I remember, I mean, this was like before sort of my growth process. Thinking back, I want to say that like 2020 and 2021 was definitely a standstill for like everybody. And I definitely was very stagnant. Like I think I didn't feel stagnant at all. But looking back, I was definitely stagnant in sort of like my own personal growth and my own personal evolution. So it was very interesting that this was on my wall at the time. Life is fluid. I am fluid. I think this was around the time where, pronouns are becoming a thing and like people are just finding different ways of expressing who they are. And life's a spectrum. I think this was the same time where a lot of people my age, millennials, were, uncovering that they all have ADHD and like all these things and getting diagnosed with all these things all of a sudden and all these things. And I just kept having this thought that we all live on a spectrum, like we all, people like to kind of pigeonhole other people because they're different, right? Just because you have autism or your ADHD, you're somehow other, right? You're not normal. When you have to remember that all of those diagnoses, people fall on a very wide spectrum of it. And then this was the same time, again, like the whole pronoun thing came, and I remember having to explain that to my boss and my mom, who are 2 generations older than me and my friends, and it's like a foreign concept to them almost. And it's just like, again, it's like getting rid of this binary, this set way, and then this other, because there is no just 2 things. We're all on a spectrum. There are so many colors of the rainbow, and they all bleed into one another because the rainbow of color is a spectrum. Everything is a spectrum. And I think that was like the thought that I had in my head around this time. And like, life is fluid. Spectrums are fluid. We kind of ebb and flow. Sometimes we're on this end, sometimes we're on that end. This is just people discovering themselves. Again, ebbing, flowing, and always evolving, right? And so I had this thought of being fluid, being a fluid person. That is what a non-binary person is. They're not just one thing. They can be a, accumulation of all these different things. I contain multitudes as a person, as a human being. And so I don't know how this relates to this, but we'll go on. I don't remember exactly what my thread was. I have different things here. I have the word unfurling, which kind of goes to this, but like, it's just this, I guess this is my thread of my life, right? Yeah, I had this thought, just had that thought. So that's what that's, I don't know why I put it in here, but I did. But yeah, I'm trying to remember like things. I remember taking this picture, walking through Central Park. This was actually outside of Central Park, along Central Park West, April 10th, 2021. And then my attempt to draw the tulips, because these are tulips, if you can't tell. It's an Instax. It says, "Look for the magic again." Secret garden paper. This was very art journaling. Like I very much art journaled sort of the way that Liz does. I think. Oh wait, this was from Bella Grace printable. "Flowers grow back even after the hardest of winters. You will too. The ordinary is extraordinary. Keep her wild It's just a selfie. And again, I'm writing about, I literally started off, I am fluid, I am free, I am a daughter, a sister, a best friend. I think this was one of the prompts. I don't remember what prompt it was, but it was basically to describe yourself in words, and then a picture, more like a little cluster thing. Oh, I remember this. This is my inventory. Things that I gather was the prompt. Floral paper, white lace, sundresses, of course, Disney enamel pins, mint green colored things, vintage hardcover books, art supplies, old book pages, pens, YA books about love and travel, cute dainty necklaces, Polly Pockets, inspiring quotes, Bella Grace magazines, 80s teen movies, my favorite music on vinyl records, Sarah Deason books, photographs and memories, shabby chic floral fabric, yes, Maggie Holmes collections, stamps in my passport, Converse sneakers, books, free people, clothing, mini backpacks, experiences. I didn't continue, but these are all like on brand for me. These are things that I gathered, things that you collect, things that you fill your life with, was this prompt. And then just a random collage of different pieces of paper and fabrics. And of course, this is a different lace that I really love that I get from Hobby Lobby. Love this lace. I really like this prompt. What I'm grateful for, you can see that my journal is like falling apart because I am gluing all kinds of stuff on top of here. And I think I also ripped out some of the pages because I knew that I was going to layer a lot of stuff and I didn't want it to be like really, really bulky. So I was ripping out pages as I was going. I don't know what's in here. Is there something in here? I don't know. Oh, there is. I don't remember this journal at all. Oh, this was a letter to myself that I guess she had us write. And I stuck it in this pocket. I put some stickers, or I don't even know, cutouts. Hello, I love you. This makes it interactive. And then, of course, things that I am grateful for. And it's just a list of what I'm grateful for. It's a photograph. Oh, so I do something like this in my unraveling journals. It's something that I learned from Susanna Conway, but Liz did it. And I thought that was interesting. Basically, a timeline of your life, except each point of it. And so she used string, but I just kind of drew the little string here. But each point is a sort of like a, what's that term in Inside Out? Core memory, like a turning point of your life. Almost. That's usually how I do it, is I write a list of all the turning points of my life, meaning periods of my life or specific in my life that were impactful to who I am as a person. And so that's the thread that we were following. Again, remember, this whole course is about that thread. And so she had us do this sort of timeline. And I just did like a collage background with all different types of vintage papers, and then did my thread here, my timeline. So this is when I started doing these little collages. I think there's another one in this journal, but it's basically a photograph, and then I handwrite these things, these phrases, and then I fussy cut them and then just put them on top, and it's always behind a vintage book page. But this says, it's curiosity that saves me today. And I believe, if I can remember, I think that was something that someone shared in one of the Zoom calls that we had for this class. So Liz did a couple of Zoom calls for this class. I think she does Zoom calls for like all her classes. And I forgot what we were discussing, but I'm pretty sure she shared a poem and she made us write a poem, and then people shared. I want to say the prompt was, what saves you today? But this was something that someone said, it's curiosity that saves me today. And I wrote that down in my notes, and I'm just like, yes, yes. Because for me, remember, we're following the thread, right, of my life. And like, a lot of my life has been this urge for more, for wanting to know more, wanting to experience more, wanting to do more. Like, I have this just kind of unhinged curiosity to learn things and to explore. And that just, my brain is constantly fueled by that. Like, it needs that. Like there's nothing my brain loves more than change. It's addicted to change and to learning and to experiencing new things and novelty. Like I just love novelty. It's curiosity that saves me today. When I'm not doing something new, novel, if I'm not experiencing something, if I'm not learning something new, I get really bored. Like I get so bored and like I get so sad. Like I go into like these, well, I used to go into these really deep depressions because I felt so stuck because nothing was new. Like nothing, I wasn't learning anything new. I wasn't experiencing anything new. There was no novelty, right? There was no change. Everything was consistent and steady and stable. And I do not do that. I can't. I don't live in chaos, I swear, but I like to be engaged. My brain likes to be engaged with novelty. It's curious in that way. Curiosity saves me because without curiosity, you're not going to go and explore and do something new. I loved that. That was just like, that hit me. That hit me deep. And so I had to put that there. This says, a letter to me holding hope and uncertainty. So this is an and space. What and space? I'm assuming the prompt was what and space you're holding right now. And I was holding hope and uncertainty, and I held that. Okay, I did this entry in August of 2021, and I definitely was holding both hope and uncertainty. And this is a letter to myself. Yep, it's to me, holding that hope and uncertainty. Look at the patina on this paper. I'm just saying, it's edging. I really should read this stuff. I haven't looked at this journal in a while. I was going through some things towards the end of 2021 that propelled into 2022, and we all know about that. So yeah, I can just only assume what that letter is about. I don't know what prompt this was, but it's another photograph. I did a lot of these things with these photographs of flowers and like old book pages and stuff like that. This one says, I think this was the poem that we had to write in one of the lives. I am a quiet, empty space in Central Park, lavender flowers, a willow tree, and waves breaking on the shore. I am seafoam green, something freshly baked, flowing, not night, but not quite morning. I am traveling, unfurling, loyal, creative, quiet. I am making a life from discovering and creating with my hands. I am content. And then I guess the title of it is Enough Am I. That's very pretty. I wrote that. But these are the things that Liz gets out of you, you know? Oh, I remember the lanterns. So I wonder what my lanterns were. 4 years ago. These are my lanterns. So these were like our guides. We all have guides. I know Liz talks about Mr. Rogers being one of her guides in life. And so she calls them lanterns, right? These are our guides. These are our lanterns. The people that propelled us to do things or to discover more about ourselves and about life or a hobby or whatever it is, our interests, people that opened the door for our lives to unfold. That's what this was. And so my list here, it's probably a little controversial now, but my list here is Judy Blume, and I guess in this order. Yep, exactly in this order. I mean, my mom will always be first, but I put her last. Judy Blume, J.K. Rowling, Holden Caulfield, Katie Rose, Bernard Bullock, my mom. And then I wrote why here for all these people. And I think I'm just going to read it here because some of these people, one of these people are fictional, right? Holden Caulfield, he's not real. But I wrote here, all of these people, real or fictional, have all shaped my life at different moments. Judy shaped my childhood, for Judy Blume. JK got me through middle school, and both made me fall in love with writing. So both Judy Blume and J.K. Rowling made me fall in love with writing. That is very, very true. My entire childhood I was raised on Judy Blume. Judy Blume books were my thing. I absolutely loved her. I adored all of her books. Oh my goodness. The Super Fudge books. I loved, oh my God, Here's to You, Rachel Robinson, and the first one, Just as Long as We're Together, and Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret. And one of more of an adult book is Summer Sisters. And I absolutely love Judy Blume. She was my favorite. I remember some of the short stories that I used to write were in this character that I had of like a young boy with a younger sibling, and very super fudgy, or Tales of the Fourth Grade, nothing, very, very much like that. Just that voice and that style. And I absolutely I love Judy Blume. Like she was definitely my childhood. J.K. Rowling, we all must admit, whoever grew up with Harry Potter, that has shaped you as a person. I know it did for me. I know it got me through middle school. Middle school was not a good time for me at all. And how I got through it was through Harry Potter. I was 11 when Harry was 11. I was 12 when Harry was 12. Like I grew up with those books, and a huge thread in my life, a huge turning point was middle school for me. I'll come to Halden Caulfield because I met him in middle school too. Such a huge moment in my life was that middle school that I went to. Like, so many things shaped me from those 3 years in that school. I don't think I would be the same person hadn't I gone through those 3 years at that school. And what got me through was Harry Potter. I have to give credit where credit's due. She might be a vile person now, but I can't deny the fact that those books shaped me as a person. And it helped me get through some of the toughest years as a child. I was in 7th grade when 9/11 happened, and I think I might have told this story. I know I tell this story to people when they ask, like, I know my cousins who weren't alive when 9/11 happened asked us one time, like, do you remember where you were when it happened? I sure as hell remember. I was in middle school. I was in 7th grade. School had just started. I was just a newly 7th grader. And God, I remember Tuesday morning, it started off like a regular morning, and it ended not like a regular day. But I remember the whole day. What got me by was Harry Potter. And I say this because our school went into lockdown. Let's just put it that way. I ended up being in lockdown in my double period humanities class with Miss Askley. And instead of teaching us humanities, which was history and English put together, what she did was, when we all entered the classroom, we went on official lockdown. So it means nobody could leave unless someone from the main office came up to escort you downstairs because your parent was there to pick you up. So we were in lockdown in my double period humanities class with Miss Askley, and this woman literally just had us sit at our desks, and all she did was, she wasn't going to teach a class. She decided to sit on her desk in the front of the classroom, and she began reading us Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And that is what I distinctly remember, what helped soothe me, because I was looking around, seeing all my friends nervous, scared, some were crying, and this woman read us this book like we were kindergartners, and she read us Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And I remember, I wasn't there for the whole time. My mom came in to pick me up at some point, but I remember going home, and that night was strange. It was a very strange night. If you lived in Manhattan, or if you even lived in the Bronx, if you lived north of the World Trade Center, the wind, the weather, the wind was pushing all of that smoke, all of everything up north. And I lived in Washington Heights at the time, so like the tippy top bit of Manhattan, and that's all you could smell that whole night. had this all you can smell, was just burning whatever was whatever burnt. That's literally all you can smell. And you had the fighter pilots circling the sky. They would go in circles the whole night. And what I did was I took my copy of Sorcerer's Stone and I picked up where Miss Astley left off, at least by the time like I left, I picked up from where she left off for me being there. And I just read Harry Potter that whole night because I couldn't sleep. And so the next day we didn't have school. I just read Harry Potter. And that wasn't the only time that those books helped me get through something. 8th grade was really hard. Me and my best friend that I've known since like 2nd, 3rd grade, we were very much into Harry Potter. And that's when middle school, we started going to the midnight releases and we would always draw Harry Potter characters. And we had a notebook that we pass around with each other and like write to each other and draw, and everything was Harry Potter for us because that's how we got through adolescence. My long spiel about J.K. Rowling, and maybe she is not the right person to put there. Maybe it's Harry Potter. Maybe it's just the book. Maybe it's the characters there. But yeah, she also got me into writing. I've always been a big reader, but never a writer. And I used to write Harry Potter fan fiction, and that just got me into writing short stories and writing my own short stories from my own ideas. And I just kind of spiraled. Holden taught me to never let go of my childlike sense of wonder. I find it very interesting I put it that way. But what Holden Caulfield taught me in middle school was that there's something precious about the innocence of being a child. And it's very unfortunate when children have to grow up too fast. As an adult, I can see it in a very different light, but I saw it that way as a child. I did not understand at 12 years old why some of my classmates were talking about sex and drugs and like, why? You're 12. Like, as an adult, I'm like very adamant of like, you're 12. You are a child. You should not be talking about any of this stuff with your friends at 12 years old, let alone doing any of it. And I just never understood as a child. Like at that age, I never understood what was wrong with my classmates. And then I was assigned The Catcher in the Rye. And that just hit me. Like, I think out of everybody in my classroom, I was the only one to really, really understand the theme of that book, the commentary of that book. The reason why it's called The Catcher in the Rye. Holden dreamt about being the catcher in this field of rye, and his sole purpose in life was to catch all of the children running towards the edge of the cliff because he did not want them to fall over the edge, of the cliff. He did not want them to fall into, I guess, an adulthood before they were ready to become adults. And we have to remember that Holden was 16 when he's telling this story to his therapist. He is a child. And it's amazing. It's amazing how I understood that at 12 years old, and none of my classmates did. And it's wild thinking about it as an adult now. But yeah, I remember that book being such a pivotal, like when I read it twice that summer too. It was assigned reading, and I read it twice in just that one summer when we were assigned it. And then I had to reread it again in high school. But yeah, that how you read books or you're assigned books that just hit you, like how Harry Potter impacted a lot of people, kind of like that. The Catcher in the Rye was one of those books for me. Like, I have 3 books that aren't Harry Potter that made an impact on my life. One was The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. The second one is Fahrenheit 459 by Ray Bradbury. And the third one is Written on the Body by Jeanette Winterson. Those 3 books just impact me. And it could, I think, I think they impacted me so much the way that they did was because I read them at the right time. You know, I read them at a time that I needed to read them. I don't think if I read them at any other time would they have impacted me the way that they did. But yeah, that's my long spiel about Holden Caulfield. And then I wrote here, Katie taught me to embrace my pain and channel it into songs and hope. So Katie Rose is like my favorite songwriter. I don't know if anybody knows who she is. She had one album and one song that kind of went big. I mean, it was in the Mean Girl soundtrack, but it was Override. That's the song. But she did a lot of the songs in the movie 13. I don't know if you've seen that one. That was with Evan Rachel Wood and Nikki Reed. That was a very dark, kind of dark teen movie. But yeah, so Katie Rose came out with this album. Like her, I mean, she has come out with additional music, but this was the only album that she came out with when she was on a label, and it was called Because I Can. And I remember buying it at the Tower Records on the corner of 66th Street next to Lincoln Center. That store is no longer there. In high school, I think I was like a sophomore. And that became the soundtrack of my teens. The amount of times I listened to that album over and over and over again and looked out my window, out at the rain, and pondered life and why I was feeling all of these big feelings and channeling those feelings into song lyrics. Really, Katie Rose was the songwriter who inspired me to write songs and be a songwriter and channel all of my big emotions into lyrics that were accompanied by melodies and music. And we love Katie Rose. Still love Katie Rose. She brings up all the feels. All the feels. And then I wrote here, Bernard just understood my eccentricities and truly believed in me. Bernard Bullock was a sound engineer. He was a record producer, a mixer. He had a couple of plaques on his wall. I know one big one was Debbie Gibson's Into the Blue. He was the producer that I used to work with in my late teens and my 20s. He has since passed away, but yeah, no, I was going through a lot of hard feelings at that time, and I would record music with Bernard. Saving grace, I must say. He was a mentor and a friend, and I very much miss him, and I very much have not, I want to say I haven't dealt with that grief fully, and it's full, because I haven't written a song since he passed away. So yeah, no, Bernard definitely needs to be here. And the last one is my mom. And then there's my mom, who is always there and supports me through everything. My mom's still here and still there and still supports me through everything. She is number one. But I, of course, leave the best for last. So yeah, no, I love going back to this. Had I approached this prompt today, I'd probably still say the same people. I don't think Judy Blume would be on the list. Honestly, because I don't remember her, but she was my childhood for sure. Definitely J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. Definitely Holden Caulfield, 100%. Katie Rose, yes. Bernard Bullock, yes. My mom. I would probably also put in Jeanette Winterson's Written on the Body, maybe Susanna Conway. They go in tandem because I discovered Susanna after my dad passed away through the grief, because she shared her grief about loss, about love and loss, and Written on the Body is all about love and loss. Why is the measure of love loss is how that book starts. Yeah, these people check out. They all check out. But that was this one. Oh, and this is another one of those little collages. This says we are only temporary, which is true. We are here on borrowed time, limited time. I got carried away and did a bunch of these little collages. This one says, Oh, this is the Bel Forniente, the beauty of doing nothing if we know. The Eat, Pray, Love. That Eat, Pray, Love moment when Elizabeth Gilbert is in Italy, and I think she was in a barber shop, and one of the Italians tells her, Bel Forniente, that Americans have trouble doing nothing. They need to constantly be productive when the beauty of life is sitting around and doing nothing. Yeah. I'm going to end that flip through of this journal with that because that is the last page in here. But I never finished this course. And so it'd be interesting to go back and try to finish it. But like years later, 4 years later, definitely going to have a different perspective 4 years later, because I was not the girl. I mean, I am to an extent the same girl that did these things, clearly, like things I collect that is so me, but also I'm wiser now. So that is this journal. That one is very deep. I didn't mean to go that deep with y'all, but we went there with that one. But that's what I love about Liz's classes, that yes, this is just an art journal, and yes, this is just writing and paper, pretty paper and stickers and maybe a bit of paint and some fabric and things layered onto here. But she really goes deep into like sort of this soul search, right? And she gets you right, and she gets you to write poetry. Like, gotta love Liz. Gotta love Liz. And so, okay, so this journal, this is the journal I teach you how to make in my snippet journal class. And I will leave a link down below to that class if you're all interested. And I used mine for one of Liz's classes. I think when I make it in the course, I made 2 signatures. I took one out and only used the one for this class. And this was the Tell It class, the one that was the Pay Attention, Be Astonished, the one where we explore the rules for living life as told, as written, as instructed by the lovely Mary Oliver, who is one of Liz's absolute favorite poets, and I think everyone's favorite poet at this point, as Mary Oliver. And yeah, so this course was the summer, August 2022, so a year after this one. And I will preface this by saying that I was going through an unimaginable heartbreak during this time. And I'm pretty sure this journal is filled with a lot of hope and uncertainty and grief and joy and mixed emotions. I was deep in a bunch of and spaces here. And the whole course was about paying attention, being astonished, and telling about it. I think that's the parts of the class. And again, I didn't get through the whole class. So I don't remember which part I stopped at, but tell about it. Well, no, pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it. Those are the sections. I'm pretty sure this was an intro. It is a intro card here. I need to actually glue this here better. And this was a poem called The Summer Day by Mary Oliver that I believe Liz must have shared, and I just printed it out really small here on some vellum and just stuck it in here. It's actually wallpaper. And she likes doing this prompt with us where we write about what we're going through and then we cover it up with a selfie. Because I literally have that here. Where is it? I know it was kind of early on. Yeah. It's like the same. It's the same. I see sadness. I see a girl too stubborn to let go for fear of losing something so dear. There is worry there. I don't know what this is. There is worry there within all the uncertainty, but there's also hope. She's a dreamer, you know, and she prays and she hopes. I see love there. Sadness, love, lots of and spaces, a lot of and spaces. I was going through a lot of emotions. And the whole point of this course was to pay attention to our lives at that moment, to be astonished if we could be. I mean, I'm still here. I cut this on my silhouette. I was going through a lot, the gratitude list. So I guess we had to make a I'm grateful for list. This journal is very aesthetic, but also holds a lot. A currently list, I was going through a lot. Have faith, dear one, that all will be all right. I don't know what this letter was, but it's a journal entry. I'm not going to get too much into this. Things I gather, Liz has similar prompts across her courses. If you've taken any of Liz's classes, you know that there's definitely things that she likes to do and explore and ways to document your life. But things I gather, let's see if they changed. Books, supplies. So books, we got brand new books, to use books taken off of my shelf to set in a pile on my desk waiting to be read. Supplies, art supplies, craft supplies, and various other materials for ideas and projects I have not started. Dresses, pretty, pastel color, and flowy. I have so many now, they barely all fit in my closet. Journals. They've been They've been quickly piling up as I've been writing more and overall journaling almost every day. Trinkets, cute little pastel colored things. Some serve a purpose, other are there just to look cute. Letters, I write you one almost weekly. Most I don't even send. There's similarities. There's a thread here. And I used a lot of my pictures that I was doing. I was doing this like weird self-portrait project, which I didn't finish. I love this page. It's sewn. It's all these strips. You know those little strips of papers that you have left over? I like to sew them onto a page. So that's fun. My self-care recipe. This is one of those like junk mail envelopes. I love this. I love decorating these envelopes and then having the window to peek through. My heart holds feelings of the past. My body, however, is tired. I guess there's feelings. There's feelings there. The truth is that this was a prompt. And I think that's where I left off. This is such a beautiful journal. This class would be very, very hard to go back to. And maybe to continue it in this journal, because this was such a, like, of the moment. This was definitely of the time, like a journal of the time. Like, this is a bad tuck spot, but I was definitely going through things when working through this class. And it's very unfortunate that I did not finish it, because it would have been such a time capsule piece to have all of the thoughts from the one class, from that one period of time. I'm pretty sure I can go back to it, but it would have to be like a reworking, maybe. I can't just pick up where I left off because I'm no longer that same person. But this is a really pretty journal. So that's that one. And my last one is my Water Your Soul binder. So this is a binder that I made. This was a cover for my journal that I purchased. I purchased a 5-year diary from Typo, and this was the original cover. And I had to take the journal, the pages out of the original cover because they no longer fit. Because I kind of messed up and had to put washi tape. It was a whole mess. I no longer have that journal. I got rid of it because, yeah. Or maybe I do. I might have it. It's probably tucked away in a bookshelf somewhere. But anyway, I had the cover and I wasn't going to get rid of it because we love a good chipboard cover. So all I did was covered it in fabric and lace and added some rings to it and made it into a binder for this course, because this whole course was about collecting things to water your soul. It was an exploration of and spaces. That is what this course was about. And Liz in the course, she encouraged everyone to use a binder, because for this course, it was just easier to punch things in, remove them, move them around how we want. And so I used this. My pages are roughly B6 sized, but you can see some of them are longer, some of them are shorter. It really didn't matter. This is a wallpaper sample. And this is some of Nazi Amity Bloom printables. This is from a Bella Grace magazine. I know it sounds fake, But you really do have a lot of silent lovers on this planet who look at you and wish they had your smile or your hair color or your humor or your intellect or your intentions or your heart, your manners, your eyes, your ease, even just you. People who are too shy to tell you what they admire about you or what they wish for you. Even though it isn't verbalized, the universe has still heard and the universe has loved you for helping out on its creations. You are that person. You are you. I love that. So it went in here because we were watering our soul. We were exploring ant spaces, and we were just filling up our journals with things that bring us joy and happiness. And this is in the self-portrait, and I hadn't gotten like messy. Like I spilt ink on this and blew it all over the place, and scribbles and ink splatters. I absolutely love this. And so this is on the back of the magazine paper, and what I did was the Finnabar, the Prima Marketing Finnabar clear gesso. Wonderful stuff. Love that stuff. Pretty much covered the entire magazine paper, because you know the Belle of Grace magazine paper is just a matte paper. Covered it with the gesso, let it dry, and since it's clear, you can see all the words and everything. And then I did the mixed media on top, so nothing went through. Like it really didn't buckle or anything on it, and it just took it really well. Love that. Love that. I think this is an intro to this class, and I just did a lot of journaling, and I kept a lot of writing space. These are the printables from the course that Liz gives you. This is that Rainbow Royale quote. So what if, instead of thinking about solving your whole life, you just think about adding additional good things, one at a time? Just let your pile of good things grow. And so Liz wanted us to notice the good things, and so this was a tracker, and I would date it when I noticed good things, and then I would write them down in my journal, collecting the good things. And I wrote down a lot of good things. I really, really did. And I left this page here because I thought I would continue to collect good things. Okay, so this is my first pocket. And again, more printables from Liz. Some trackers. I know each week was a different ant space we were exploring. Okay, this one was stillness and action, I think. Right? Stillness. We were exploring stillness, and then action. The ant space of stillness and action. So the first part was stillness. This Polaroid image was cut from one of Susanna Conway's book. Stillness, the choice to pause with intention. Any of these little quote things are printables that Liz shared with us, and I just put them in here. And this is my reflection on stillness. She gave us these prompts, and usually my journaling is answering the questions from the prompts list. And I, again, stuck magazine pages in. What is this life? What is this life if, full of care, we have no time to stand and stare? Moments of stillness. So I'm collecting moments of stillness. That was such a good quote. And then action, right? The decision to do the next right thing, looking closer at action. I'm just responding to the prompts. Many of us have been running all our lives. Practice stopping. Again, I'm literally just collecting images and quotes about stillness and or action. What's the next right thing? That was a prompt that she gave us, and I just journaled mine out. It says, between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Again, the and space. And so every week we explored an and space. We explored the two spaces. And then I think she also had us name the space in the middle, but she also gave us reflections and prompts. And so I was really good at keeping up with the things. Again, instructions for living life, pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. Mary Oliver, she comes up all the time in Liz's courses. And then this is the diagram, the Venn diagram of the and space. To pay attention, this is our endless and proper work. Again, Mary Oliver here. More journaling for me on stillness. That was a big thing from here, from Water Your Soul, is that idea of stillness and pausing. That was a good one. I don't remember what the words here were for here. I guess it's routine. Routine and possibility were the two. I guess it's routine. Again, I printed out all the prompts and then I'll answer them. And then, of course, I'll just put in magazine images, always magazine images. Routine, the rhythm of daily life. This was a poem that Liz shared with us that I put in here. I am out with lanterns looking for myself. And then possibility, these are the prompts, and me doing some journaling about that. I printed everything Liz gave us. Not that I filled everything out, but I printed everything. A lot of images. I did some collaging here. This is fabric. I don't know. Each week has a pocket. I made a pocket to put the tracker and the quote. These are my notes from the first Zoom call. I am rooted, but I flow. 3 steps to do in the pause. I don't remember what the words here for this one was. I really don't remember what the words here. Compassion. Yeah, I don't. But I was exploring the end space of holding on and letting go. And I think this is the blog post that I wrote about it. So I had to print that out and put that in my journal. And selfie, more collage. I did this thing. So this is from Liz for sure. Collaging fabric, pieces of fabric and paper on top of things. Here, I think she wanted us to do, I guess the prompt was to use the word here in our writing. More Mary Oliver. I guess, again, the pocket with all the things in it. I think compassion was one of the words, but I don't remember what the other word was. Again, kindness. Kindness and compassion. Kindness and courage were the two. So kindness is here. I set this up to do my response, but again, I did not finish it. What I did was I stuck everything in. I printed everything out, stuck it all in, made little collage papers, but I didn't actually go in and do the journaling. So this is courage. I think I was supposed to journal here about courage. And then again, printing out all the things, sticking in any art that I thought. Courage, that's what the compassion comes in. The little Venn diagram there. And I don't know about this one. I just, again, did the pockets, printed out all the things, and stuck everything in. Showing up and recharging. My notes for the second Zoom call, my notes for the third Zoom call, and then I think this was a pocket where I had a bunch of stuff in. So that is this journal. I could very much so go back into this journal and do the responses for all the other ant spaces and do more exploring and sticking more stuff in. So this is definitely one that I would love to return to. And I think it's one of those classes that are continuous, right? You can continuously grow on this binder and continue to water your soul. I might need a bigger binder, but yeah, I can always go back to this one. I love Liz's courses. Honestly, I don't think I ever out of all the courses that I've ever taken in my life, hers are the only ones that I can be creative. You know, I can be creative and I can art journal, but I can also explore myself and explore my life. And all of her courses are like that though. Like all of them, not just one, you know how Allie Edwards, one little word does that. And now that Liz is one of the guest instructors on it. And even, Azari and Lou, the 4 of them are really great together. If you've been in One Little Word recently, they're great together for exploring your life through your word. But you know how Allie's all about just telling your stories, right? Very much storyteller, story-driven scrapbooking. Liz is all about definitely the ant space and exploring our feelings, right? Exploring our feelings and our actions and our reactions within these ant spaces. And we're constantly walking through millions of different ant spaces throughout life. And she just has a way to to get you to explore yourself and your thoughts and your feelings in that way. And she uses poetry as the vehicle. She uses the like words, and she just happens to do like really scrappy kind of like this. Like I was definitely emulating her style, her art journal style, because if you've ever seen her art journals, they kind of look like this. Yeah, I love these journals. I know they're not finished, and it's a shame that they're not finished, especially the ones that are so timely, that I was definitely in a moment, like in a space with them, but they are so pretty, and they all hold such big emotions and big feelings, and it's really nice to look through them. I haven't looked through these in ages, and I'm so happy that I decided to flip them all here with you today so that I can just kind of relive all of these little moments, and yeah, these are so pretty. I really, I really, really wish that I had finished them, because they would be nice little, like I said, time capsules, but I have parts of it, right? These are parts of who I was in these moments. And out of all of them, I think I can finish this one because it's not so like time restrictive. I feel like this one, I definitely was going through emotions. And so what I was paying attention and being astonished by and telling about were those things. But I definitely can split this and maybe revisit the class. All of these classes are ones that I would love to revisit, like revisit and maybe do again from start to finish and actually finish them. Oh my God. Show of hands, how many of you have a bunch of online art journal or journaling courses that you started but you never finished? Anyone like me? I should show you my Notion page that I keep to track all the classes that I have started and not finished or haven't even started at all. Yeah, I collect online courses about journaling, and not all the time do I finish them. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed looking at these journals as much as I loved looking at these journals. Oh my God, I absolutely love these journals. I absolutely love Liz. Oh, beautiful. So good. So good. I just thoroughly enjoyed looking at these journals, and I really need to pull them out more often and just like properly read through them. Maybe on my own time, not out loud, because I didn't read some of these letters out loud to myself, and definitely didn't read this one because I know I was going through some hard things. But oh, beautiful. Love these. I really, really hope you enjoyed looking through these journals as much as I loved looking through them. Thank you so much for watching. I do have a part 3 of these unfinished journals, and I will share, I think, like 2 or 3 miscellaneous journals that I have that are not finished. So I will be back with those, but thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, friends.